Previously on Homegrown.
Back in 1916, it was rather interesting, but there was hockey.
I was spending 40 hours a week on hockey.
The Checkers, we were pretty good.
First ever girls' high school hockey game.
Chrissy's the most gifted goal scorer I have ever seen play hockey.
Everything you envisioned for a high school game to be that I grew up watching on the boys' side with packed stands, it was super cool to see that in a girls' game.
In the late 1990s, girls hockey was alive and well in Minnesota. Pioneers like Winnie Brodt, Natalie Darwitz, and Chrissy Wendell had taken the high school scene by storm. But the prep stars weren't the only ones growing the game. Women's college hockey was on its way.
And of course, the East Coast had, for 25 years, had programs going. A lot of the girls did not want to go out to the East Coast.
In 1996, Augsburg University announced the school would be adding women's ice hockey as a Division III sport. The following year, former Minnesota Checker Jill Patilla became the team's first head coach.
It was the right thing to do. And even though there weren't any other college teams around, the whole attitude was, well, that doesn't mean we don't do it.
Jill Patilla had asked Augsburg to start a team. And after they started, Chris Volz got a lot of emails from people like me and people on my board who said we really should get something going at the University of Minnesota as well. And they started talking with the school and ended up, that's when the team started forming.
It brings home a dream. It brings home a dream for the little girls in Minnesota, the Minnesota's daughters, if you will, to be able to stay home and grow and learn and skate.
Through these doors, thousands of young athletes have come, inspired, if you will, by the greatness of the past, and now women's hockey becomes a part of what will be undoubtedly a rich, rich tradition.
A major piece to the Gopher women's hockey puzzle was put in place today. The Gophers named Laura Halderson head coach.
Put my name in. I didn't think I had a great chance because I'm like, well, it's Minnesota. Look at all the people out there that play and coach hockey. And here I am, Division III coach, out in Maine. They brought me in, I interviewed, and next thing I know, I have the job and I'm coming back home.
Being able to coach my favorite sport in my favorite state is a dream come true. I had been waiting patiently for the opportunity.
On November 2nd, 1997, Halderson and her Gophers suited up for the first game in program history against an awfully familiar foe.
Wake up, you guys, wake up, pick it up!
There was a big build-up to that first game, the inaugural game, the inaugural season. My suggestion was, hey, let's play Augsburg. Let's give Augsburg some credit. They added women's hockey 2 years prior to that. And just so happened their head coach was my teammate with the Checkers, Jill Patilla.
I remember teasing Laura, I'm like, we're gonna beat you, and they're gonna not renew your contract. You better, you better get ready. And our team was so fired up, and they were going to go win. We've been playing, this program's been around 3 years. This is their first year.
Good luck, Augsburg, you bet. Number 7, go for it. Go for the goal.
Lady Gophers rule, woohoo!
It got to the point where we were so ready to play. And these are 17 freshmen. And then we had probably, I think, 6 upperclassmen, I think sophomores, and then Julie Otto was our lone senior and our captain. It wasn't until I kind of got probably like 3 or 4 strides on the ice that I looked up and I went, oh, that's a lot of people.
Nobody was expecting this many people. I wasn't sure what we were going to get. There was a Vikings game that afternoon. There was people waiting outside as the game had already started, and that's amazing.
What I remember, first of all, was during the introductions, I took the turn on the slippery black mat a little too fast, and I fell down with almost 7,000 people in the stands and a spotlight on me.
The rug just kind of slipped on the ice and she went down. And it's like, ugh, no. And she did the most perfect thing. She got up and took a bow.
It was funny, but also the most embarrassing moment of my life. Fittingly, the first goal was scored by Julie Otto, who was our one senior, who had gone to Northeastern and played for a year. She transferred to Minnesota, hearing that there was going to be a program.
I remember when Julie scored that first goal, the place just erupted. It was so exciting.
Minnesota went on to beat Augsburg 8-0, but the final score seemed somewhat insignificant that night.
One of my friends from high school, she came to the game with her young son, Zach. And she said, later that night, we had the Sports Center on, and they were showing NHL highlights. And Zach said, "Oh, Mom, is that the game that we went to?" And my friend said, "No, that's boys hockey. That's men's hockey right there." And Zach said, "Oh, I thought only girls played hockey."
It just was so amazing, just not for the people playing in the game, but I think for the whole state and so many people who have behind the scenes been pushing the sport for so long, that to see it come to that level and then from the U just explode after that.
I don't think people cared who won or lost. I really don't. They just were excited to see finally the University of Minnesota getting a varsity team, but to see two varsity teams, both from Minnesota, playing each other. And that was pretty unforgettable.
By 1999, all 5 Division I schools in Minnesota had a varsity women's hockey program. Yet, none had managed to conquer the powerhouse programs on the East Coast. That was until 2000, when Roseville star Winnie Brodt returned to the state of hockey.
She was coming with a lot of experience because she had played at New Hampshire, where she won a national championship.
I went out there for a year, my freshman year, ended up playing Minnesota in the national tournament, and we ended up beating them and then went to the finals and won the national tournament. I was MVP as a freshman of the tournament, and that's when I decided to go back to Minnesota to help them build their program.
For a brand new program that's just, hasn't even started yet, it really did make sense for her to go out east and play on one of the best teams in the country. But then I think after that first year, when we showed that we're gonna be a pretty good team, she was able to come home and be sort of our first homegrown star here in Minnesota, one of many that stayed home after a very successful high school career.
Reunited with high school legends like Rhonda Curtin and Laura Slominski, Brodt and the Gophers found themselves competing for yet another first, a collegiate national championship.
Stay low, shift. Our 2000 team actually started off pretty rocky. If you would have asked us a couple weeks into the season, I don't think anybody would have predicted we would have won a national championship.
We're in Boston, and I remember getting ready for that first game, and one of our captains said, "I don't think anyone thinks we're going to win this game."
The Gophers came back to beat their in-state rivals, Minnesota Duluth, in the national semifinals. They then went on to beat Brown for the ACHA championship, bringing national recognition to the state of hockey.
We wanted to make it a premier program. We wanted to mimic the men's program. We wanted to say, if you're a great hockey player in the state of Minnesota, you stay here. You play for our team, for our state.
Most of them, had been there. This was their 3rd season. And they came to Minnesota not knowing what this program was going to be, not knowing what this was going to look like, who we were going to play. They took a chance. And to be able to win the national championship in the 3rd season, that was quite a testament to those players and what they were able to do in a short period of time. I really think it took a team from this area to win the national championship to really give credibility to all the teams out here.
Everything kind of started to change, and all the Minnesota girls prior to me back in the day would go out east to play at those schools. And now Minnesota was able to keep our own people here.
I think it was really just the starting point for such bigger and better things that have come along the way since then.
College hockey continued to rise in the Midwest. Minnesota Duluth captured the next 3 consecutive national titles. And in 2002, the Gophers built something that women's hockey had never seen before, Ritter Arena.
It was the first arena built and designed specifically for a women's program, and it's been our home.
For this is a great day for women's athletics. It's a great day for the University of Minnesota and a great day for hockey.
Obviously, the Ritter name is on it because the lead gift came from Bob and Kathleen Ritter.
In the 4th grade, I was taught by Sister Aloysius. And Sister Aloysius informed me that you really must never commit the sin of pride. Well, today, I'm committing the sin of pride.
Bob and Kathleen Ritter were newspaper people by trade, but hockey fans by night. Bob and his wife knew the women's program was on the move. They loved hockey, and I think one of their great legacies are that they made sure to fund and to lead funding on Ritter Arena. Ritter Arena gave the Gopher women's program ambiance immediately.
With the new arena came new superstar recruits, including Park Center's Chrissy Wendell and Egan's Natalie Darwitz.
I was pumped. I was so excited to come home and be playing in front of my friends and family. And I think it was just an added bonus to be able to have Ritter Arena be there as well, because that just created a new atmosphere and just kind of new vibe and excitement around women's hockey.
Both Darwitz and Wendell committed to Minnesota after winning a silver medal with Team USA in the 2002 Winter Olympics. The chemistry they built wearing red, white, and blue instantly carried over to maroon and gold.
In high school hockey, we only paired up 2 years together. We were playing at the same time. And then she graduated and I left school early to play for the national team, and so did she. So we didn't really know of each other or hang out. But as soon as we, met each other, it was immediate. When we got on the ice, just our hockey IQ levels just synced.
I think our games were so different, yet they complemented each other, and I think we really had an appreciation for what the other one brought.
I was more of a playmaker, and I knew if I got it to Chrissy, she'd finish.
My favorite story is when we were playing in the national championship against Harvard. It was tied in the 3rd period, and we had a line with Chrissy Wendell, Natalie Darwitz, and Kelly Stevens. All Olympians, pretty good line.
Here's Darwitz in, shot, score on the rebound. Ball made the initial save, and Harvard wanted a whistle.
That line scores. Harvard is saying that the goal was scored after the whistle was blown. And so Chrissy says, "Coach, don't worry. If they don't count it, we'll just get another one." They counted it. I put the same line back out. They scored again.
The championship trophy remains in the state of Minnesota.
Defending their title in 2004, Wendell and Darwitz led the Gophers right back to the national championship game the following season. Tied at 3 late in the 3rd period, Darwitz secured victory once again.
In regulation, a steal by Stevens, blocked out by Bow, scramble, score! Darwitz for 3 Minnesota, and the Gophers are again the NCAA Women's College Hockey Champions.
People, they always ask me the Olympic question versus the Gopher question, like, well, it had to be the Olympics was way more of a better memory for you. And I stop them and I'm like, no, absolutely not. Winning a national championship twice in a row with the Gophers, you can't describe that feel of being number 1 at the end of the year, hog pine with your teammates, throwing the gloves in the air, just the genuine smile and happiness that you and your teammates share. You can't describe that. And I always say those 2 years were my highlights of my hockey career because we won.
Natalie and Chrissy finished the season with a combined 218 points. Wendell went on to win the Patty Kazmaier Award. She was the first Minnesotan to receive the prestigious honor as the top female hockey player in the country.
It was fun. It was for sure the most fun I had playing hockey. And the national championships were great. It's obviously, I think, more fun when you're winning. But even if we weren't, I remember my memories from college are far beyond just winning.
People come up to me in a rink and say, hey, I watched you play for the Gophers. I took my daughter to games because of you and because of Chrissy and because of so-and-so. I mean, that just, it hits you. I don't think we were really aware of the magnitude we were doing and paving a path for the future players behind us. It wouldn't have happened with us being in different states. It wouldn't have happened with us being on different teams. I think we needed each other. We needed the Gophers. We needed Ritter Arena. I think everything just kind of came together at the right time to really launch the game to be better.
While Natalie Darwitz and Chrissy Wendell were building a legacy at the U, the first high school dynasty was in the making at South St. Paul, a program that had a head start on its competition well before girls hockey even existed.
Before I came to South St. Paul in 94, 95, I know that they had a ringette program, which was pretty successful.
They used to play this game called ringette, and I don't really know exactly what it is, but this was the puck and this was the stick they used.
Ringette, the original sport that girls played in high school on the ice, which is basically a derivative of hockey, but it's basically a spear and a metal ring that you pass and shoot and score with.
In the kind of South suburban area, South St. Paul, West St. Paul, that area was ringette. I think in 1990, we had over 1,000 girls playing ringette.
Ringette's probably greatest contribution to girls high school hockey in Minnesota is that it was so predominated by skating.
Ringette was a big deal, but parents felt like these girls wanted to play hockey like the boys, and they said, let's make the change.
Ringette is so wimpy. Hockey's just tougher and it's a lot more fun.
Once we all transitioned, we just fell in love with the sport. And now it's just like a whole new world for us. And we had a goal to achieve. We wanted to win a state tournament. That was, from that point on, we knew we had to achieve that's what we wanted to do.
Out of the ashes from ringette came a successful varsity program in the mid-1990s. South St. Paul lost its first trip to the state championship in 1995 to Apple Valley. 7 years later, the next generation of Packers were determined not to let that happen again.
We just couldn't win. Something would always happen. We couldn't figure out why. We were talented, but we just weren't getting the job done. We were beating all of the hard teams.
We had a group of kids that we knew was going to be pretty special. In that 2002 team, we had to beat a Bloomington Jefferson team in the semifinals. And in the state title game, we were out shooting White Bear Lake 28-6 going into the third period, and it's a 1-1 game.
Wait, who do we play? White Bear? I couldn't tell you a single person. I just knew we were going to win. It didn't matter to me.
Ashley Albrecht scored with about 8 minutes left in that state title game. First ever South St. Paul title. I remember Doug Woog coming down to the bench, giving me a big hug, and it was a moment I'll never forget.
And now will the captain or captains of the state championship team from South St. Paul please come forward to receive the championship first place trophy.
I think for the city of South St. Paul to have a team bring that hardware home and be crowned, 2A state champions was a lot of pride for a city that's for years and years wanted to be able to do it, and for the girls team to finally do it, I think it brought a lot of pride home to our community.
You would think because it wasn't the boys, the boys program's bigger obviously in the state, but it didn't matter then. It was the girls hockey team. We won. We got the monkey off the back, and then we continued on. There was no stopping us at that point.
You may not like to hear about those Packers, but Minnesotans are proud of these.
50 consecutive wins is an amazing accomplishment.
And win is all this team seems to do.
We had won those last 27 games in 02, and then won 31 in a row to win our second title in 03. It became a big deal.
But it was kind of just in the paper. You just kind of see it still winning, still dominating, dynasty.
You're looking live at the lobby of the Cloquet Area Rec Center, and the banner hangs there, says it all. 63 wins in a row for South St. Paul. They'll have their hands full tonight.
And we went up to Cloquet. We outshot Cloquet pretty good up there, and we ended up tying 1-1. And you would have thought the world ended that bus ride home with these girls. They were devastated.
She won't get a shot off the horn blows, and we end in a 1-1 tie.
South St. Paul obviously disappointed. Their streak at 63-0 does end, not with a loss, with a tie.
You knew it had to end at some point, but what I've learned over the years is the best team doesn't always win. And I guess what was most satisfying was they found a way to get the job done.
Simmons, shot, rebound, score! And now it's looking good for South St. Paul.
The Packers went on to win 4 titles in a 5-year span. Their 63-game winning streak and 86-game unbeaten streak are both girls' state records that remain untouched today.
You hang the banners and you look at all the work that those girls put into winning those. That's what's most satisfying, because it wasn't easy. I think that's what sticks out. I'll never forget what they did for this program.
With the Packers' reign coming to an end, teams were clamoring to earn the title of the next great hockey dynasty in Minnesota. In 2011, that dynasty emerged in the suburbs to the west. The Minnetonka Skippers became the first team to win 3 consecutive state championships.
We didn't know what role we were playing in the game at the time. At the time, it seemed to go by really fast because we were having so much fun.
They go to the back door. Here's Peterson in front. She scores!
It was a great feeling in 11 to get to the state tournament first and foremost, but then to win it while we were there. The 2 years prior, we did lose in the section final. We lost to Edina in 09, and then in 2010, we lost to Hopkins in the section final. Julie Friend posted the score sheet from the Hopkins game up on the corkboard in our locker room when she was a junior, when we lost that game in the section final. And that score sheet stayed up on the corkboard all the way until the state championship after she won it her senior year.
But I just remember counting the countdown, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
With the dream, the lead for the state championship.
Rip the helmets off, throw the gloves, and it's something you dream about. Winning state in high school was the pinnacle of anything I've ever done in hockey. You grow up with that team. It's awesome, and you have lifelong friends from college and things like that. But that Minnetonka High School team, those are the girls you've played with since you were 7 years old. For me, and I think I could say for a lot of girls on that team, winning state was probably the best thing we've ever accomplished and got to experience in hockey.
The dynasty era of South St. Paul and Minnetonka proved that girls hockey was no longer dominated by just 1 or 2 names. From all 4 corners of the metro to the northern boundaries of the state, the talent pool had grown substantially from top to bottom.
The sophomore class, I think there were 5 girls that ended up going D1, and they won state the next 2 years after that. And I think that's just a testament to the coaches and the youth hockey there in Minnetonka to be able to, I don't know if breed is the right word, but breed all these hockey players that were able to continue their careers outside of high school.
What's happened since 2005 that I've seen is everybody's skating faster. The game has gotten a lot faster. Girls have played now since they've been 5 years old. I think when hockey really broke in 1994, 95, not everybody had played since they were young. A lot of them had started playing in junior high, high school. But nowadays, girls have played all the way up, so they're skating faster, they're stronger on their skates, and that whole parity has changed. It's hard for the high-end players to stand out because a varsity team can have 15 good players that can defend and skate just right with them.
The game has grown. The game is better. There's more depth. You don't see as many players just take over a game, go end to end. It's more of a team game. It's more 3 lines. We got good goalies, good D.
Even in small South St. Paul, the fact that we still have, going into this year, it's just so fun to see that, we have 3 Division I girls that are gonna play beyond high school. And they are playing all the time and have a passion for the game, just like the boys, and they got something to shoot for. They're training and working all year round because they know they got something to work for now. Whereas for most of the kids in the past, it was over.
Team. the most important word in any hockey player's vocabulary. It is a word that describes the sport at all levels. Hockey is the ultimate team game. And for a state that takes such pride in the sport, team talent has never been stronger. A talent level that has grown from high school to college and now to professional hockey and beyond. That's next time on Homegrown.